So your manifestation isn't magically going to show up. And of course, it's up to you to apply repetition consistently in order to get your manifestation. And I'm going to explain towards the end of this video exactly why people give up too soon. Hey guys, welcome back to today's video. We are talking about the key element of repetition, why a lot of people want to or do give up too soon. They don't maybe fully understand the power of repetition and how manifestation actually comes together. So we're delving into that today, explaining why you shouldn't just give up or be discouraged, why the repetition is working, and this whole key element and simple key part of the process of manifesting. So we're delving into that today, so do stay tuned to hear all my thoughts. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Alexa, a manifestation coach. You can work with me. Everything will be on screen right before we jump into today's content. So you can also take a look in the description box. The join button is right below. Also, I've been seeing it on my own videos and it's a bit silly, but the hype button is a new feature. And if you enjoy this video, if you found it useful, you would like maybe other people to see it and help out my channel, do click that hype button if it's available for you right below the video, so it can be promoted by YouTube to other people. And yeah, do subscribe to my channel. And now let's start the video. If you're starting with a negative old story, remember that it does take time to conform. It does take time to shift that around. So if it's significant, prominent, something maybe that's been going on for months, for years, maybe it's like a consistent disappointment with dating experiences, relationship history, your career trajectory, whatever it may be, it doesn't have to be this one circumstance. Think of it as getting to the root of the issue. What is the actual topic? Self-concept, the self-worth, your belief in your ability to have your ideal career, your ability to achieve that, whatever, the root of that is. It doesn't need to just be, oh, because SP isn't texting me, or this circumstance came up, or just something last week happened. That's my issue. You might be starting with some more deeper core, negative assumptions. So remember, it takes time to unravel those. And following on from that, maybe opposed to what some coaches say, or, sometimes you just look at a title, it might be a little bit clickbaity, but having a 180 shift overnight for a lot of manifestations is not realistic. So if it's something, tangible or intangible actually, but I was thinking something like hair length. And this was something I was discussing with a client recently, as an example of don't be discouraged or assume, I'm doing something wrong because it's not hit overnight. Things don't just suddenly shift instantly because you've been applying repetition for a day, for 2 days, for 3 days. Sometimes it might not be visible to you. So things like growing your hair, don't expect to wake up the next morning and it's perfectly at your end result. And certain things, like even with an SP, I know a lot of people will be watching this, maybe thinking of how to apply it to your specific person. And same thing there. If there is a really kind of ongoing, long and significant negative circumstance, and I know circumstances are temporary and irrelevant because that means, they can't stop you from manifesting, but they do impact your current 3D reality. So you want to be aware that, okay, maybe 6 months, something hasn't gone right with SP, or maybe you barely know this person, but you'd like to be in a relationship with them, or just, start dating. And you can't expect to just wake up the next day or literally, 24, 48 hours and think, why isn't it shown up? Why aren't things coming together? Sometimes it can take time because you're working with something that, not because it's in the 3D, but because it's in your subconscious, a belief, an assumption that has been prevalent in your life, and it does take a little bit of time to unravel that. So tying into those kind of opposing thoughts and working through it, your conscious mind will still bring up those thoughts. So repetition, in this case, I'm explaining, the background of why it's so significant and why for all these areas, that is how they get resolved and turned into a positive assumption, because your conscious mind is thinking rationally, logically, based on memory. It's analyzing everything. It's using intellect, right? The subconscious doesn't have that power. It's not going to analyze and make decisions for you. You're telling it through the repetition what to believe in. So the conscious mind is going to bring up opposing thoughts and past circumstances, past issues, the same way maybe we all, right before falling asleep, for me especially, or when I'm just sitting quietly, sometimes I'll be reminded of a really embarrassing moment in life or something that went wrong. And this is just sometimes what the conscious mind does. Yes, sometimes it's brought up directly from the subconscious, but the analysis, the mental reaction, what you actually assume about these memories and events, that's coming from the conscious mind. So to create the shifts in your subconscious mind, let go of those opposing beliefs. It really does take repetition, and the assumptions themselves are built and stored in the subconscious. But when you're trying to analyze and look at your 3D and say, this is what it means, and this is that, it's because it's gathering all the knowledge and memories that you have up until now to make the safest analysis for you, right? You're not going to say, oh, look there's a picture of SB at a party. Okay, that means that they are telling everyone in that party that they're going to marry me tomorrow. Like, your brain won't automatically go there. That's the norm, obviously. I'm sure anyone watching this, you might be laughing, thinking, yeah, that sounds crazy. Well, that's the way the conscious mind works. It's not going to instantly pick, positive assumptions. It's going to take what's been around you and source from the subconscious mind and memories and assumptions and say, because of all of this that I already believe, this is how I'm going to apply, an assumption to what I'm seeing in my 3D reality. But in order to shift those patterns around, it's about getting into and saturating the subconscious mind, which is done through repetition. And the interesting thing that happens is that when you focus on one singular thought, so again, the repetition, the robotic affirming, just looping, not just doing something once and then putting it aside, your frontal lobe is activated, meaning where you're making decisions, you're kind of analyzing everything, you're focusing on that. It's prominent at the forefront of your mind, literally at the forefront of your mind. So you're putting all of that focus into your desire, into the end result, the outcome, or anything positive tied to it. So it doesn't even just mean only when you loop your affirmations. It can be visualizing, daydreaming, having those positive thoughts just come to mind because you've been focusing on them, through practice. They can just pop into your mind automatically. I've heard that a lot from clients as well, and from my own personal experience. So having that come to mind, and when you put your focus on that, you're literally activating your brain to focus on that. And all of that outside noise is going to disappear, and it's going to resonate with your subconscious mind, because again, you're not looking at external factors in the external environment. You're not judging and thinking, okay, all of these things are happening. This is on social media. This is what this person said to me. You're just focusing on that one outcome, and it makes your mind and subconscious think this is real. Your emotions think it's real because you're putting so much focus on it. You're mentally imagining it. Your subconscious can't say, oh, that's not real. So it's all about building up those positive thought patterns and habits, normalizing it to your mind, to your daily routine, to yourself, just knowing, okay, this is how I think. This is the automatic thought I'm going to think. Once you start to assume something or worry or think about a certain topic or something, it does tend to come to mind quite often. And the same thing goes with your affirmation. So you're building up these positive new thought patterns, and that is literally changing your neural pathways in your body, your brain waves, like the way your frontal lobe engages with something. So it's changing everything internally. So I'm going to move on to the next section, but just to summarize, your mind needs the repetition to accept those new beliefs. What you're doing is, like I said, normalizing and building up these new assumptions and beliefs about your reality, whether it's your SP relationship, self-concept, money, career, anything, a non-romantic SP as well, of course, family, friend relationships. In order to accept and believe in those new beliefs, of course, it needs the repetition. Your 3D reality is going to reflect your dominant thoughts and focus. So again, the assumptions and beliefs you have, they do feedback externally. They reflect, it's a mirror reflection in how people treat you, how people feel about you, especially a specific person. But those thoughts and beliefs are what your 3D reality is going to show and be based on, your dominant focus. So if you keep thinking about a topic or a celebrity, I've had this as well, and I know sometimes it's because our phones are listening to us, but sometimes it's not even that I'm using my phone for it and I just know manifestation is tied in, but you will notice this a lot. It's crazy. I'll be thinking about TV show, seeing things related to a TV show. Something crazy that happened that I hope this doesn't get flagged in the video because it's nothing crazy, but I was rewatching the show True Blood, and I used to love it, and I loved it again rewatching it. And yeah, so I've done a couple of videos about it on my vlog channel if you're interested in that. But the point is, it's a vampire show if you don't know, and it has like 7 seasons or something. It was long, so I spent a while watching it, focusing on it. And I did look up a couple things on TikTok, so my mind was very engaged with that topic. And then something random and crazy that reflected that was in the show, because they're vampires, you know, they have to drink. So they would do that, I'm trying to be careful with how I word it, but yeah, they would do that quite a lot visually and from the wrist as well. And then I noticed I scratched my wrist in 2 spots like this, and it literally looked like the way vampires would drink. And it was the craziest thing. I would watch it on the show, and that just saturated my subconscious. Obviously, it was prevalent in my conscious mind. It was like at the forefront of my mind, right? I was very engaged with the show, and then something random and crazy reflected in my reality that tied into that. Because obviously I wouldn't think something is going to manifest from watching the show, but it just goes to show your 3D reality in some way will reflect or show you or re-engage your mind and be a reflection of where your focus has gone. So obviously that wasn't tied into a manifestation, but it shows the power of the mind. And I'm going to tie in another really interesting point and fact about the brain in a moment in this section as well. But ultimately, you want to remember that because your 3D reflects your dominant thoughts, it can be negative or positive, and that is up to you. It's not your fault. It's not 100% in your control. Well, you can, but like you don't control the how, and you don't control every single thing. That's crazy. We don't live like that. But that's not to say, you know, you have to be scared or worried or blame yourself because things might go wrong. It's just to say you can be self-aware and say, oh, this is negative. I don't like it. I don't want it. Let me shift it around and manifest the opposite positive. Because if you waver, your 3D reality wavers too. So if it's negative thoughts, your 3D will reflect that. If it's dominant, repetitive, maybe you're not applying repetition or a mental diet. And in turn, that also reflects with your SP. Your SP would waver as well. But just because you're not seeing anything, or you think, well, I haven't seen it reflected in my 3D, that doesn't mean there's no movement. This is also what I talked about in my recent video about not giving up on manifestation just because you're not seeing visible movement yet, or maybe you're impatient and very like attached and almost anxious to get that result in. That's not a good mindset to be in. And then if you're analyzing everything and saying, why am I not seeing it? You know, physical movement, the result isn't coming in. That doesn't mean nothing is happening. And something interesting is that your RAS, reticular activating system, I believe that would be in the brain, obviously, reflects and filters your reality for where your focus goes. So it's again, how your 3D reality reflects your dominant focus. Your mind has been saturated with this idea, this image, you know, this certain experience or just the singular focus. So your mind will literally filter your reality to notice that. If you've been very focused on red cars, you will probably start to see a lot more red cars. But that's the power of manifesting. If you imagine and visualize and focus on a text from SP, a date with SP, getting a promotion, just feeling amazing in life, that your reality is far more likely to show you that experience, for you to bring that in, for you to manifest that because you've mentally experienced and visualized it. So you might just be encountering that your mind is being really stubborn, maybe after years of negative experiences, just being kind of resistant in the temporary present moment to your affirmations, to your manifestation, because you've only just maybe started doing that or just really got on track with it. And maybe you've had, like I said, months or years of previous bad experiences that are still prevalent in the subconscious. Those memories may never fully fade away, and that's okay, but you are kind of undoing your assumptions about your future, your reality, your success by putting in these new positive beliefs. So remember, your mind, you might want to quit because your mind is, you know, just being a bit stubborn. You're not seeing or feeling the changes that you want to yet. So just again, remember, if you're feeling impatient, usually it's a temporary thing where maybe towards the beginning or at a certain time, people think, well, I have to see something now. And if I don't, there's a problem, you know, I'm going to keep checking. That's where you can kind of start to spiral. That's a pretty bad habit when it comes to manifesting, because then you're going to get stuck on the 3D, waiting for validation. So it's about persisting despite what the 3D is showing you. You don't want to give up just because you're not seeing it yet. Don't take current circumstances as an objective reality. Again, it's subjective, based on everyone's individual assumptions. People can read different situations differently, based on knowledge, lessons learned, you know, experience, and just the beliefs that you build up, your self-talk internally. All of that does feed into how you analyze any situation in your life. So remember, Persist despite what the 3D shows you, and don't just assume, well, this is permanent, this is my manifestation's ruined, or, you know, life sucks because of these current circumstances. You can't expect immediate results for a lot of manifestations. Movement, conforming, the process does begin to unfold and have a domino effect. Bridge of events, birds before land, your own internal conforming, all of this does immediately start, but the full result, don't be worried or panicked if maybe it's not like an overnight thing, and that's okay. So that is going to be the end of today's video. I hope you guys found that useful. And if you did, please do thumbs up, subscribe, turn on that notification bell, and I'll see you next time.